Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, 25-year celebration this year. Talk, number one talk in the IE. And streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Spreaker, Streaker, you name it, we are there. And this is a show about hope and happiness, so there's no gossip, no scandal, no K-words, no Kanye talk now or later, formerly or in the future. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have topics and guests to that end. Oh gosh, every time that extended promo comes on while the news is playing on the other side, you know, I'm so blessed to have had Marion Ross in studio, not once, but twice. She's still going strong. She's 93 or 94. You know, you can, if you follow Jim Meskimen, her son, who's been on the show a couple times as well, and his wife, it's just a beautiful testament to how attitude, you know, translates into longevity. And having her on, if you missed my interview with her or Dawn Wells, who I do miss having on this side, all the fun we used to have. She took me to the races with Gilligan's son. And man, I'm already jumping into breakfast sandwich, I think. Sorry. Let me rewind for a second and just say we have topics and guests to that, and including very special series. And it is Wednesday. You do see the beautiful Inside and Out co-host, the Doctor's in the house with Dr. Marissa and Dr.
Tiffanie Tate. Hey.
Yahoo! Welcome back to the show, Dr. Tiffanie. You've got your fan base here already. I just saw the Queen come in. She's here and excited, and we welcome anybody and everybody, except if you're driving. If you're listening to me on AM and FM, please do not chat, but please do go to my YouTube TV channel when you land and free subscribe. You'll get an alert every weekday morning for the show. Now I do have a subscription as well. If you want a little piece of me after the show on Monday or some free product, you can do the 2 levels of subscription. So I am going to continue being in gratitude as we have breakfast this morning, taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich. And I already started the ball off. So Dr. Tiffanie, what are you grateful for?
I am grateful for the support of my illustrious sisters of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Fantastic. And I am grateful for life. I'm grateful that the planets did not crash into each other last night, and that I get a day ahead of me to live, love, laugh, learn, balance, hug, respect, and just enjoy life.
Oh, and I see my mom T has joined, and she is on now. She has raised me since I was 2 years old, and there's a poem dedicated to her in my book. And so I'm very grateful that she is on bright and early. So yay for her.
Yay. We'll get a little applause just for Mom T. I look forward to meeting you, Mom T. And you did a bang up great job with raising Dr. Tiffanie. She's such a delight to have on Wednesdays. and in my life now, I just got told that I'm going to get an invite to the graduation, and maybe I'll see you there. I still have yet to taste her food, which I understand she got some recipes from you as well. So I look forward to that. All right. What else are we grateful for, Dr. Tiffanie?
I am grateful that both of my children will be graduating, to have one child graduating with a bachelor's and another one with a master's. I know that it is a feat in and of itself. And my daughter just celebrated her birthday. So I am grateful for so much. I am just overflowing with gratitude.
Oh, I am grateful for this platform. 622 consecutive weeks now, 1,137 podcast shows in the bag. Today is the 1138, and I'm going to get emotional. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that I didn't give up. I was going to give up after a year because people said this. There's no way you could not talk about the news that everybody else is talking about and still have a good show. But I'm grateful that I have purposely, I don't talk about it because you can get that anywhere. But I wanted to balance out the bad news with good news. So I'm grateful for that. Let's go to the bottom of the bun. So the bottom of the bun is gratitude turned inward. So I distinguish it the way that Abraham Hicks does, law of attraction, which is a gratitude is things outside. Appreciation is what do you like about yourself? Because frankly, my dear, how the fork do you expect to love, for other people to love and appreciate and approve of you if you can't do it yourself? And if you're one of the 7 out of 10 of us who grew up with childhood trauma, it's not easy to love yourself because you have those voices in your head that tell you you're not good enough, you're good for nothing, and all of that bullshit talkie. So we do this exercise every morning show because I want you to get used to saying, what do you like about yourself? And we model this for you so that before you go to bed, that's what you're doing instead of thinking about what you did wrong or who done you wrong. Instead, I want you to affirm yourself. So Dr. Tiffanie, take it away. What do you like about yourself?
I like my ability to see the glass as half full. Despite what's going on in life, I am going to search for the positivity. Some people might say it's too Pollyanna of an idea, but I like to look at the world through rose-colored glasses because life in the world can be difficult, but I want to see the bright, sunshiny side of things.
Absolutely. I appreciate my ability to see the glass full because it's half water and half air. So it's always full. And I appreciate that we share a middle name. It is Pollyanna, and I'm proud of it. Absolutely. What else do you like about yourself?
And I like my ability to support people because I'm always going to try to pull people up with me. I believe that just because you're on the other side, it doesn't mean that you should go by yourself. I like my ability to pull people along with me.
And I'm going to add an appreciation for you that's coming in the Cashew Gallery chat. Your cooking ability is being put up on the screen right now. So yes, I look forward to that. I appreciate my ability to laugh at myself. The name of the show is Take My Advice. I'm not using it. And the more and more I am in the public eye, the more and more I'm recognized, the more pressure I do feel sometimes to, oh my gosh, someone will say, well, you shouldn't, and it's like, I don't want to get caught up again into it's so important what other people think about me, but I'm anchoring myself. The important thing is how I feel about myself. And I am 88% fabulous, and 12% of the time I step in it. And that's just the way it is. And I'm so appreciative that I'm not trying to be perfect anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I would say I do not take myself too seriously. I believe that laughter is the best medicine, and I appreciate my comical side. And I do try to help people lighten the mood and enjoy life. I believe that life should be laughed at. And I do believe that there are some moments that should be taken seriously, but most of the time, you should really laugh. And you can burn calories by laughing. So that's the best way. And so I
It is.
think you should
That's
enjoy it. Yes.
I call it cardio for my soul.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's it for Breakfast with Dr. Marissa and
Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
here on Doctors in the House on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA. NBC News, home to the Asian Oprah, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. So we're so glad that you had breakfast with us. I promise if you do this for 28 consecutive days with us or without us, you will sandwich your day in the most positive way. And now, Dr. Tiffanie, who is a doctor in the MD kind of lettering. She's a licensed OBGYN and a singer, songwriter, playwright, cook, mom, broadcaster, co-host, and more, and writer. Lots of books. You've got another book coming out soon. You must go and sample her wares there. She's got, my favorite one is her children's book called Bad Touching, which really helps kids understand early what is okay and what is not okay. What is our topic today, Dr. Tiffanie Tate?
Our topic today is about communication collapsing.
What?
And when communication collapses, communication breakdown. And I came across this topic because this topic was slapping me across the head multiple times. I was in multiple situations in which there were communication breakdowns. I was in
Can you give me sorry.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
I'll give you a couple of examples. I was in an organization meeting where the meeting completely deteriorated during lunchtime. And then I was sitting down, one woman to my left, one woman to my right, and I just sitting there minding my own business. Woman A was sitting there, woman B came in, and woman A and woman B were talking to each other. Woman A was upset with woman B because she had been called out of her name by a woman B to woman C. They had a private communication, and that woman took a screenshot and sent it to woman A. Yes. So that was kind of interesting. And so she was like, I don't want to talk to you because you definitely called me out of my name. And it was an explicative. Yes. And basically, woman B was like, I said what I said. She didn't apologize. I was like, ooh. So I'm just sitting in between these two. And so I'm like, am I going to have to referee? And so the meeting hadn't even started. And so it just threw the whole vibe of the meeting off. And then she was like, okay, we really need to address being professional. And I wasn't the parliamentarian, but I was trying to de-escalate the meeting. And then it didn't go anywhere, but they ended up kicking the person who had been offended out of the meeting. And I'm like, that I didn't think that was appropriate. What we should have done was communicate better. So then I was like, okay, there has to be something to this. So then I was on my way to the supermarket, and then another woman was cursing out the employees. And I'm like, okay, here's another situation where everything was escalating and there was bad communication skills. So I'm like, obviously, we really need to talk about communication skills as in general, as well as in relationships, because I had a friend who was also talking to me about her relationship. So I had 3 situations in which I was getting hit with people having issues with communication. So I'm like, okay, obviously we need to address this on the show because
so I can blame you for my 2 examples then, because you started it. I had one, and I think I shared with you, I was blocked. I thought I was blocked by someone. I had asked a request and I didn't get a response. So I went and researched how you've been blocked. And it did look like that because it was green on the text and it did not say red. So I thought I had been blocked. That's one situation. And another situation where someone I don't like being told what to do. Number one, everybody knows that. And his intention was not to tell me what to do, but the way in which it was worded was basically telling me what to do. And it was something that I had a trigger reaction to, not him necessarily at first. I took it the wrong way. And then in an effort to say, please don't talk about this anymore, it got worse. And then he wanted to talk about it. And I knew that if I was on the phone with him at this point, it would not be pretty. So I just didn't answer the phone, and he just kept calling and texting. And I was like getting more and more escalated, and as was he. And so finally I just said, look, this is when you say this stuff, it just, triggers me and da 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 da. And I'm asking you to back off. I'm not ready to talk about it. And, was pretty strong. And then his response was, your past with men, and, I refuse to be treated like one of your, past, and don't take your past out on me. And so this is a good friend, and we have not talked since. So I didn't know if you were going to get personal with the examples, but I was going to bring that up because it doesn't feel good, right? But I don't feel like I need to apologize. Obviously, he doesn't feel like he needs to apologize. And so now I'm sitting here with my own advice, which is, does the relationship matter? If it matters, do a carefrontation. If this is something that, is it more important to be right or to be happy? So it's all going through my mind, but there's also a part of me that feels like, in every relationship, it could be time to separate. If there's no match, then maybe, whatever shape, size, and form a relationship is, maybe it's just time to part. So I wanted to bring that up to you because we coach each other on this show as well. So there it is. It's going to be a juicy show, folks, if you haven't figured it out. Yeah. And if you tuned in wondering what's going on in the studio today, we're talking about na 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 Bonnie Raitt. I couldn't remember her name for a second. And you are tuned in to In the House with Dr. Marissa and
Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
Take a stab at me.
And so
Go ahead.
I think a lot of times, when you have communication breakdowns, it does result from misunderstandings, confusion, and even conflict. And then you have to look at, a lot of times you can have like a negative conflict or consequence, and you have to decide what it is that you want to do and how do you want to navigate these. And nobody can really tell you what it is you're feeling and how it is you want to respond. And the truth is that even though you don't know what it is you want to do, and whether or not this is we're going to result in a crisis of your relationship, all you have to do is kind of take an introspective evaluation of things. And there's different ways to navigate these feelings. And I found some different ways to look at it.
Perfect.
And so one of the things that I found was the 4 R's, like readiness, response, reassurance, and recovery. And I was like, that's a different way.
Mhm.
Readiness, kind of be alert. Response is like the speed, is to not always be in step with the way in which you respond to the person. A lot of times we have a knee-jerk response. And a lot of times we just need to stop. We need to pause. We need to assess the situation. We have this flushing feeling, and we let our emotions kick in because we have that fight or flight thing.
Yeah,
And
I usually say that a knee-jerk reaction will guarantee that you're going to look like a jerk. But I also want to tease out a piece of this that I use in relationship coaching when I'm working with couples. It's very, very common that one person needs to resolve and wants to work through the conflict right away, and then the other person is high P. So the one that wants to close is the high J in the Myers-Briggs, judging, right? They're not judgmentals per se, but they want to close and come to a solution quickly. And was the case of my second conflict, which was the friend wanted to talk and resolve. And for me, I wasn't ready to resolve. I knew myself enough that I was not going to be able to hear what he was saying. So I didn't answer the phone. And he took that as disrespect again, because if I'm a friend, I should pick up the phone. So that, I think, is definitely one of those differences, right? That if you can say to whoever the relationship with is, can we agree to a time where we will both come back to this? That is not right away, but it isn't like 10 years from now.
But see, I think that would have been a good time to communicate with him, even in a text, saying, "Hey, I need some minutes." And I think it was probably silence.
I did.
Oh, you told him that you needed some time?
Afterwards, yeah.
Oh, but see, in the moment, it would have been good, and that way he could have stopped calling and texting, because that probably annoyed you.
No, it did. And when the third time I didn't, it was like in succession. Again, there was no break to even. So then, I took a breath, and then I said, I just can't deal with this right now. Right. So please stop calling. Right. And texting. And then that's when this, obvious, this is not how you treat friends. And it's like, I wanted.
And I think a lot of times we really should avoid the you statements, because then it casts the blame. And so if you say, this is not how you treat friends, then he goes on the defensive. And if you can say,
no, he said that.
Oh, he said that. Well, he should not. General public, we should really avoid the you statements because it casts blame. And if you could say, I establish this ownership, and you can say, I don't feel like this. I'm feeling neglected. I'm feeling hurt. I establish this ownership, and I doesn't cast blame. And I think it's important that when we're dealing with relationships, whether it's intimate relationships, whether it's friendships, it's better to use I statements and not you statements, because you statements places people and cast blame. And we don't want to cast blame because we want to establish good relationships. And so we want to establish ownership of our own feelings in the moment. And if a person needs a break, you want to give them 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even a day, if that's what they need, because you want to preserve the relationship. And it's okay to take a break, especially if there is a conflict in that moment. And I think one of the problems we have right now is we have a microwave society, and everybody wants everything instantly and right now. And we can't always have it our way. This is not Burger King. These are real people. These are real emotions. And I think it's important to say, okay, Dr. Marissa needs her time. She needs time to process this. We're going to give her 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, and we're going to circle back. I'm going to respect her. I'm going to respect her feelings. I know I'm in my feelings. I know she's in her feelings. Even in that meeting, we lost a member because of that. And I don't think that the way everything was handled was appropriate. Everything that was handled was completely inappropriate. And what we needed to do was to communicate, and things are not always communicated effectively. People need to say, I'm feeling this way and I need a break. And if we own our feelings, and if we're wrong, apologize. The woman was just looking for an apology, as opposed to saying, well, I said what I said because I was in my feelings. And that's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah. In that situation, if I had been there, woulda, shoulda, coulda, armchair quarterback, would have been to, it's obvious there's some emotions attached to this issue. And at this point in the meeting, I value both of you in the meeting, but it's clear this isn't going to get resolved in the meeting. Could I ask you both to table your conflicts so that we can actually commence with the issues at hand, because both of your contributions are valuable? That's what I would have said, armchair quarterback. I don't know if it would have made a difference, but it is. So let me tease out another thing about conflict and about emotions. So in the world of work as an organizational psychologist, I do not have an MD, I have a PhD. So this is my field of working with conflict in business. And the expectation that you leave your personal life and your personal space and your personal emotions and your personal, anything to do with personality, you leave it at home and come to work and just do the job and get the work done, is such an idiotic expectation, because we are whole people, we have emotions, and we are going to not just get along. That is, why my field is important and why it does well, because the recognition that we're not robots is important, even though we're moving towards robots, but that's another story. So I think that this is a great example you just gave of we have to acknowledge feelings. We have to, and people blame it on, this is what happens when you have women in the workplace. It's not about that at all. It is the shift to understand the value in having the whole person. If you are emotional and sensitive, you're more creative. So in order to be more creative, can we up the creativity and down the destructive conflict that happens? So a little bit of OD in there, sorry, organization development insertion. But I want to hear more about what you found. You do great research on this. What other ways are people saying that can work through the conflict?
And they said, actually, identify the problem and determine the cause of the communication failure. Because if you don't know why the communication problem broke down, you can't fix it. And I think it can be a technical issue. It can be misinterpretation. You really want to figure it out. And then you want to listen with the intent after you understand the person's response. And you want to ask follow-up questions, because that's really going to help you. And this is an issue. You want to stay calm and composed.
Yeah. Let's talk about that one. I mean, these are great suggestions. And, these are the theorists. I actually taught a course at UCLA in the MBA school called Managerial Interpersonal Communication. And it, in theory, is wonderful. Practice is another story.
Oh, yeah.
So here's the thing. What I realize in conflict is I'm trying to get someone else to understand where I'm coming from, right? Because I want them to go, oh, okay, I get it. And I don't see it that way, but I get it. And okay, I can see how you would think that. I could see how that went. And I take ownership that I didn't realize this was a trigger for you, right? And then you want yourself to be able to do the same thing. But you talk about microwave society. We now have a, what's that word? Cancel.
Culture.
Right? Cancel culture, which is, no, I cannot agree to disagree. You're wrong. I'm right. And F you.
Oh, yeah.
So that's also going to mess up the ability to communicate. But really, if I am responsible for my feelings, and this is law of attraction, that means that you can't piss me off. I can choose to be pissed off, but ultimately, you don't have power over my reaction. It's all my choice on how I react to what you said. And if that's true, I have to own, I had a trigger. He said something that just set me off. I realized I have that button. I know where it came from. It came from growing up in a religion that was so, that was tied into beatings, that was tied into emotional abuse. And so that's why I say I'm allergic to religion. Okay. Because of that. And so his innocent, asking me to do something turned into this, trigger thing. And I own that. I explained it to him, but in his mind, that wasn't good enough for my reaction. Am I ever going to get him to acknowledge that? Probably not. Is he ever going to get me to understand that the way that I responded made him feel, disrespected? I understand it, but does that make his reaction more important than my reaction? So I am continuing to ask myself, is this just, that expression, God doing something for yourself that you cannot do, which is, maybe there is a time to acknowledge that it's the end of a friendship. And by the way, the other example of the blocking, I actually had the balls. I got the courage to actually ask her face to face, and did you block me? And she's like, no. And I said, well, I sent this. And she goes, I swear I never got it. I said, well, that's good to know. So that whole, I had been going to MSU University, which is making shiitake up, right? Which we all do. And I was able to let that go. And then she proceeded to do a couple of things that it's like, okay, I'm definitely going to the tractor for milk. I'm never going to get what I want from her. And I just have to let it go. So anyways, thank you for the finger. This is we got a finger somewhere in there, not that one, but this one. So thank you for that. And I do love and am a little nervous all the time about how I live out loud on this show. But it's been almost 12 years and I'm still alive.
Well, it's all good. And sometimes they're just misunderstandings. And that's why I said a lot of times it's communication and you just have to talk it out. And I have a girlfriend, she was trying to book her trip to go with me for my birthday, and we had talked it out and everything, and she was trying to make sure she was on the right flight, and she had booked everything herself, and everything was wrong. And so she just misheard everything. And so it was all communication, and we had been talking, but the communication was off. And so we just laughed about it because we had been communicating and communicating and communicating, but the communication was still off. And so sometimes you just still have to keep talking and talking and talking. And even though you're talking, the communication can still be off. And a lot of times you have to talk and the person has to repeat it. And sometimes it's better to put it in writing. And no matter what, even if you're on the same page, you're not on the same page. And that can even happen in relationships. And so when there is no communication in a relationship, or lack of communication in relationship, it can lead to anxiety, depression, resentment, mistrust, and you can even end up with a breakup. And so I thought that whether you're looking at business, whether you're looking at friendship, whether you're looking at interpersonal relationships, intimate relationships, communication is key. And so poor communication in a relationship intimate relationship is really, really bad. So I wanted to touch on that a little bit. What do you have to say, Dr. Marissa?
Yeah. It for me, it's all about balance. How much work is too much work? How much, if you're the one that's always trying to communicate, you're the one that's always trying to make things okay, and you're going all the way over here and they're doing this, that's not a good relationship to be using a lot of effort for communication. If it comes to the middle and the other person comes to the middle, that's a relationship that you want to work at what was the misinformation or missed communication, what was missed. And at the same time, I'll say this, might not be popular, but the more you focus on something that isn't working, the worse it's going to get. So if there is a relationship that is, just a constant source of missed communication, right? More than 20% of the time, you got to ask yourself, am I going to the tractor for milk? Am I trying to make a relationship work that is just not going to work? So my 80-20, how much of the time are you in conflict? If you're in conflict 80% of the time and holding hands and making love 20% of the time, you got a problem. That's a lot of conflict. Now, I will balance that out and say, but you have people like me who conflict is death, because I grew up with every conflict resulted in physical harm to me, emotional harm to me. And so I will admit that I have a very love to avoid conflict. There's staying too long, and then there's running too fast, right? So that's the balance for you. I'm being honest about my own stuff. So if that is where you are, then you might want to look at, well, really, can you live on a desert island by yourself? But then I balance that out. I do have people that I've been with for 25 plus years who are friends who are proof that I can work through conflict, right? So again, it's one of those things, and I loved what you said, Dr. Tiffanie, at the beginning. This is good to gather information, but ultimately it's your choice. It's your choice on how are you going to feel the best 88% of the time about how you handled the conflict. If you can feel good about it 88% of the time, then it's time to let it go. right? It's time to move to a place. Go where the love is. Go where the love is. Go where the love is. That's my number one advice usually when people are in conflict.
Mm-hmm. And so there are a few signs of bad communication in a relationship. They don't listen, they invalidate your feelings, they interrupt you in a conversation, they offer unsolicited advice, they use aggressive language, they practice stonewalling during conflict, they are defensive, they lack empathy, and they have poor emotional intelligence. They're like very distant and they don't want to share their emotions with you, and they don't manage their tone or inflection. They're like always angry and they're intentional. They're always lifting their voice and yelling at you. And so they lack relational growth. And so those are some of the things that you should be aware of and be on the lookout for. And so
Mhm.
I always think, am I my brother's keeper? Um, or my sister's keeper? And so those are the things that I kind of think of. And I want to say to a certain extent, yes, I am, but I am a mother and I'm not raising any other adults. I'm only raising my children. So
Mhm.
I'm not in a relationship to raise a grown up. I'm only raising the grown ups that I gave birth to. So
I wanted to have a child, not marry one.
that part, been there, done that, and I'm through with it. So yeah, that part.
Thank you so much, Auntie M. Was it Mom T?
Yeah.
Mom T. Mom T. Thank you so much for that. Um, gosh, you said something, and oh. So here's a little tough love, and I had to face this myself. When you were going through that list, right? They
Mhm.
interrupt you, they don't respect your feelings, they, block you, they stonewall you. And I've heard this list as I coach people. My next question will be, do you have a relationship like that at work as well? And they'll say, "Oh yeah, my boss, or my boss or my coworker. There's one coworker, da 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 da." And then I'll say, "What was your relationship like with your last romantic relationship? Did they do the same thing?" "Oh yeah, da 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 da. That's why I left it." And is there any other? Do you have friends that that also do that to you? Oh yeah, I had to let go. Da 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 da. And so I'll keep asking until uh, I kindly nudge to suggest: is there a pattern here, and who is the common denominator? Oh, is it possible that you are living in a way or creating relationships in a way that you attract the same kind of not listening, not caring, not validating? Is it possible that you, where you are, in a position of, why can't you love me? Because this is exactly what I do. Why don't you listen to me? Why don't you care about me? That if you go into the world with that vibration, with that set point of, truly, I don't believe I am worthy of having someone treat me well, guess what, boo? You're going to bring people into your life that will not treat you well. And for that is such a powerful, sad, but true, incroyable mais vrai in French, incredible but true, phenomena for us as human beings. The
Mhm.
way that we conduct and feel about ourselves determines the kind of people that you attract. And when I finally figured that out, that's when I was very careful about my BS. I had to call my BS. I had to call my belief systems that said, what do I deserve? Not that I'm so hot and I want, not like that, but really looking at where am I in my, love for myself? Why we do the gratitude sandwich? Why we do the bottom of the bun? Because at some point, the buck stops right here. So it's good to identify when people do you wrong, but I think it's even more effective if you can identify what part of me attracted that part of them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So go ahead.
And so I have a poem I'm going to read.
Yay.
And so it's from my book, Flowetry, and it's called Kindness or Weakness. Please do not take my kindness for weakness, because that is just not cool. Despite what you may think, I will not play your little fool. I have a wealth of sentiments in my emotional pool. If you're lucky to receive my love, then you have found a jewel. My kindness is not a weakness for you to abuse as a tool. Like Beyonce, I can upgrade you because I'm just that kind. Sit back, relax. You ain't seen nothing yet, because baby, I will blow your mind. No matter how hard you look, another woman like me you will never find. Yes, I exude kindness, but that does not make me weak. I am tough, but when my heart is broken, my eyes will leak. In the midst of my tears, I am not meek. Abuse my kindness, and you and I will be through. Despite what you think of me, I am strong enough to leave you.
Yeah, I almost wanted to start singing, I am woman, I am strong. Yes, that was a loving, defiant poem, which is about exactly what I was just talking about, owning your power to attract a more healthy person who won't take advantage of you, right? And won't not appreciate you, but you got to start here. It all starts here, right? People will treat you up or down depending on how you see yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful. And where do people find your poetry book?
On Amazon or Barnes and Nobles, basically anywhere books are sold.
Fabulous. And it's Flowetry, which
Yes,
is a play on the word
it
flow.
flows on life, love, and liturgical issues.
Beautiful. You got to love it from Mary, your mom T, and my Z Queen here. I love this transparency and relationship analysis. Helpful on a deep level, provides a new perspective. Thank you. Yay! It's our blessing. We just love doing this, and I agree with you. This is the kind of show that I wanted, because it's real, and this is why I constantly push Dr. Tiffanie to use examples, and she's got it now. I'm so glad. I almost interrupted you at the beginning because I thought you were going to go into the theory, but she was right there with the example, and I was so happy with that. Mm-hmm. All right, where are we? Oh shoot, we are getting there already. Time flies very quickly. We're almost at 5 minutes. So, final word, Dr. Tiffanie.
I want to say, when you want to talk to someone, make sure you focus on trying to communicate effectively. You want to make sure that your timing is appropriate. Don't try to hold someone hostage. Don't try to force communication when it's not a good time, because if it's not a good time, they're not going to be receptive. You want to make sure it's a good time for you. It's a good time for them. And it'll be good for everyone. You want to make sure that you communicate effectively, efficiently. You want to make sure that they feel validated, you feel validated. And if everyone is all good, you will be a good communicator. You want to be respectful, and you want their feelings to be validated, and you want it to all be love.
Wonderful. My final word is that's who we are. We come from love. We go back into love when we die. We are humankind, emphasis on kind. And balanced with that, we're not going to get along with everybody. It's just not feasible. We have preferences and personality differences, and it's all about balance, knowing when to hold, knowing when to fold, not having expectations that everybody's going to get where you're coming from. So the most important thing is, are you okay with where you're coming from? And that's what I'm getting for myself. Fundamentally, after talking about this, I'm okay with whatever outcome it is. I don't need to have everybody like me. And I think that's been, as my whole influence grows, getting recognized halfway around the world, and Australia was one of those, that I have to develop the ability not to care, not to go back into that. I want everybody to love me. That's the thing that I'm getting out of this. Some people are just not going to get me, and that's okay. And they're not bad, right? They're just, they are where they are. And I have to be okay with me. Fundamentally, rock bottomly, number one. Thank you so much. My cashew gallery is just fabulous today. Thank you so much, Mom T. She's a great topic, ladies. I'm about to get behind the wheel. Till next Wednesday. Love you guys. Love you too, Mom T. Thank you so much for being here and joining us. Let's see. Is this a new one? Yeah. Strong enough to leave you. Got to be healthy and appreciated and loved. That is the final word there. And absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us today on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, home to the Asian Oprah, and streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and my YouTube TV channel, where I'm inviting you all the time to subscribe there, either through membership or free subscribe. And we are just so happy that you were able to join us today. I'll let you say goodbye, Dr. Tiffanie. We have a couple minutes.
Okay, wonderful. It has been my pleasure speaking to you. And remember to use I statements, not you statements. And I would like to wish you all a very happy, healthy, blessed day. And I look forward to meeting and speaking to you all again next week. And God bless you. God keep you. Be safe on the highways and byways.
Thank you. And tune in tomorrow for Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and co-host James Hawthorne. The topic tomorrow is going to be prenup. So interesting. Yeah, if you're a gold digger, you will definitely want to tune in. As we tackle this, we talked about money disparity or differences in money and relationships. So it led into the topic for tomorrow, prenup. Thank you so much for joining us. It's all about balance. You ready? Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best day ever. We'll see you tomorrow.